This video will show you how to use WebXtender when you are in a form within Banner9 in Application Navigator. So the first step is that you would need to go to an actual screen. So I'm going to go to the General Person screen, which is Spaden. When you get into your desired screen, you then need to enter in either the ID number of the person that you want to view the documents for, or if you were on one of the screens that's like the invoice screen, you would need the invoice number or the rec number. So I've entered in the ID number, and now you would click on the Retrieve button in order to launch WebXtender. If you click on that and nothing happens, then you need to check your pop-up blocker. Refer to the video that shows what to do with pop-up blocker for WebXtender. Now what you see here are the query results that occurred from clicking the Retrieve button. It's showing all of the different document types that have been indexed to this ID number within the BSID application, which is for the general student information. To view a document, you would click on the little piece of paper icon in front of the ID number. This will now bring up the document for you to view. If you wanted to know what the index was on this document, you can click on the blue arrow on the far right-hand side where the index is currently collapsed and click on that, and it will now display what the full index is for this imaged document. You can then click the blue arrow again to recollapse the index. When you're looking at a document, if you needed to put some annotations on it, you can do that with the toolbar. You also have these other features. If you see here, you have the page section. If this was a multi-page document, you could page through by clicking the arrows next to the page numbers. The next area is the rotate section. If this document was positioned incorrectly when it was scanned in, you could click one of these buttons to rotate it left or right in order for you to be able to view the document appropriately. Then you also have the zoom section. You can zoom either by clicking the plus or the minus symbols. You can drag the circle here as well on the line, or you have these quick buttons here as well that you can fit to view. You could fit it for the height, or you can fit the width. Then here is the annotation in the format section. The first one here is your select button. After that, you have where you could add arrows or lines or freeform lines on the document. You also then have different shapes that you could put on the document, a square, a rounded corner square, oval, or pentagon. Then you also have the text button, and then you have the highlighter and the rubber stamp. If you wanted to put an arrow, you would click on the arrow button, and then you click and drag on the document and it will draw an arrow. Now you notice that the arrow is black. If you wanted the arrow to be a different color, so I'm going to click the Cancel Changes button, so it will remove that, what I've just drawn. And if I wanted it to actually be a different line color, you would click on the Format bar on the line color and change your line to a different color. And now when you draw the arrow, it's that color. So that's what controls what the colors are. I'm going to do Cancel Changes again. You could also change the line width. So if you wanted it to be a skinnier arrow, you could click on that first. And then when you go to draw it, it's skinnier. I'm going to Cancel Changes again. If I wanted it to be more prominent, I'd click the wider one, click and drag, and it makes it fatter, as you can see. Now you also have the shapes. So if I clicked on the rectangle and I clicked and dragged, it now drew the rectangle. It also has the thickness of the line from what we had just previously chosen. So if I Cancel Changes, I go to the lines and I say, well, I want my square to be a thinner line. Now if I draw it, you'll notice it's thinner. If you also wanted this to have a different fill in the background, so I'm going to cancel that, you would pick first your line width, your line color, and then if you wanted it to have a certain fill color, say you wanted it to be a light blue. Okay, and then to have the fill active, you need to click on it so it's highlighted. And now you have your box highlighted. The color of the line will be pink. And when you click and drag, the fill is blue, the line is pink, and it's the thickness we had chosen. So remember, you have to kind of choose all of those formats first before you can get your box to show up the way you wanted to. If you wanted to be able to black out a section, there is what's called a redaction button, but that does not work on PDF documents. So in order to achieve that, what you would do is you can have your line width be whatever you would like, but you're going to want your line color to be black, and you're going to want your fill color to be black. And then you can choose the rectangle or whatever shape you want. But then if you click and drag over the words, you'll notice that it slightly is transparent. So what you then do is draw a second one over it, and that will make it so that now you can't see through it. So if there is a section of the document you didn't want someone to be able to see some of the words or whatever or numbers on it, you can redact it that way. Because most users do not have the option to be able to hide another person's annotations. They can only hide their own. They can show or hide their own. So they would not be able to have it so that that was uncovered. I'm going to cancel changes again. Now if you wanted to put text on here, you would click on the text and then you'd click on the box. And what happens is this add text annotation window appears. So then you can type in here whatever words you wanted it to say. You can change the font size, so it could be a fairly large font if you wanted. It could be bold, underlined, italics, and then you could have it that you can change the color of it while you're in this section. So let me pick a different color, green. Then you click OK, and there is the text that you just displayed. If you wanted to move this, you would go and click the select so that now you could go and you could now move this to another location if you didn't like where you had placed it. But you have to switch over to the select button first. There is also what's called the rubber stamp. If you click on the rubber stamp, there are some preloaded rubber stamps here. So if you picked, say, the reviewed by on at, it's going to say it's going to be reviewed by your username on the date that you're doing it at a certain time. So you could like stamp on a document. So if I picked that and I click OK, and then you place your cursor where you want it to be placed. And I just clicked that, and it's saying now this was approved by me on the 17th at 9:48 p.m. If you wanted to move it because you didn't like where you'd placed it, click the select button, and now you click on it and then you can move it. If it is that you have some annotations on here, but you don't want to just click cancel changes because it removes them all, but you wanted to get rid of one, while you have it selected, so I'll click on the words, you select it, and you can hit the delete key on your keyboard, and that will remove that individual annotation. Now the one thing to remember is if you've added annotations to your document and you want them to stay there when you leave, you must click the Save Changes button under the Actions section of the toolbar. When you click Save Changes, now that annotation will be there the next time you come into this document. If you wanted to hide it, because you can hide your own annotations, you can click these buttons and it hides it, and then you can display it again, so it toggles back and forth. If you wanted to print the document that you're looking at, you can choose Print up in the upper right-hand corner. And here is where you could choose if you wanted to do all the pages, if it was a multi-page document, or just the current page. However you choose, you can choose to have it that it hides the annotations and doesn't print them, or if you don't have that checked, it will print the annotations. And then you can click Print. If you do it and nothing seems to happen, you need to notice that it could say Pop-up Blocker up in the URL on your window. And you will need to click on the pop-up blocker and click Always Allow Pop-ups and click Done. Then you could go and do Print again, and then you would choose print and it would happen. The other thing is you can choose export. Export will allow you to save it as a PDF to your computer. So you would say whether it's the current page or all pages. I'm saying here to use the PDF format and to hide the annotations. And you click export, and then it will go and save it down to your computer. If it doesn't actually trigger that, you can do this, click here, and then it will save it for you. The other thing you'll notice up here in the upper right hand corner, it says previous, which is grayed out, or next. What that is it has it so that you could scroll through all of the documents that had come up in the query results. So this is now at that next document that had displayed, and you can see it says here document 2 of 9, and so you're on document 2. If you click previous, it would take us back to that first document that I had displayed. If you wanted to go right back to the query results, you can click on query results and it will bring you back to all of those documents that it had pulled up at that time. And those are some basic features within WebXtender. And one quick thing is if you wanted to close this and go back to Application Navigator, just go up to the little red X on the tab within the browser and click the X to close that tab, and it brings you back to Application Navigator. Thank you.